What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to show you how to reclock your suspension bushings on an ND Miata. The concepts that I'm going to be explaining today also apply to all of the generations Miata. I'm just using an ND to demonstrate. So why would you need to reclock your bushings? So if you come in and look at these bushings here, these are OEM bonded rubber bushings. If you have polyurethane bushings, Delrin bushings, whatever, some kind of aftermarket bushing that is not an OEM style bonded rubber, ignore this video, it won't do anything for you. This is just for OEM style bonded rubber bushings. The way these bushings work is the rubber is bonded to the outer, like in this case the control arm, and then the center has a metal sleeve bonded inside there. When this bolt is pinching that metal sleeve, it can't rotate in the bushing. So as your suspension articulates, the bushing, the center sleeve is twisting inside the bushing. So from the factory, these are all clocked so that they're at their center point, so no preload, no twisting action either way, at standard ride height. So when you go and install your coilovers and want to lower the car, sometimes that bushing preload keeps you from being able to lower the car as much as you would like. So what we want to do is reclock these lower. Now you can just put the weight of the car on them and loosen and retighten those, but sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes if you want to get really low, there's so many bushings, especially on the ND, it doesn't let you go low enough. So I'm going to show you a little trick to get past that. So the first step is to remove the sway bar. Just remove one of the end links. As long as you take this, then your sway bar is not fighting you as you've got two sides. Now also, obviously we're using a lift here, but if you're doing this in your driveway, you totally can. It's just you're gonna have jack stands here and a floor jack here instead of a lift and a transmission jack. So once we've disconnected the sway bar, you'll also, I'm just demonstrating here, I'm not gonna actually loosen all the control arm bushings, but you will want to remove as much preload from your shock as possible. You can also remove the shock if you're gonna really go really far with it, but generally that's not necessary. You just want to take as much preload out so that you can get the suspension to articulate. Your next step would be to loosen all of the locations that have rubber bushings. In the ND, it's every single connection point except this upper and lower bushing. You can't really see the lower one too well, but this upper and lower bushing on the front of the knuckle, these are actually spherical from the factory, so they don't have bushing preload. They're not a bonded rubber bushing. So these two you can leave alone, but the outer locations, all of these other locations, you're gonna loosen those bolts. They don't have to be super loose, but loose to the point where they're no longer pinching that center sleeve. The next step is to jack up. We've got it placed on the knuckle here, and you're gonna jack this up. Now things can get a little bit sketchy here, so you gotta be careful. You're gonna jack it up until it just barely starts to lift off the nearest jack point. If you're doing this in the driveway, you wanna make sure you have all four wheels off the ground with 4 jack stands. Don't do 1 jack stand per side. Don't be holding this up with a floor jack. You want jack stands everywhere, 4 jack stands. So you're gonna do this, you're gonna jack this up until this just barely starts to lift off of your jack stand. Oh, there it goes. So this is starting to get a little bit loose, okay? So as soon as this is a little bit loose, now you're gonna go around and tighten up all these locations again. Once you've torqued those to spec in your factory service manual, you can release the jack. The car will settle back on the jack stand. Then you'll reset your preload on your shock to get back to whatever ride height you want, and then reconnect your sway bar end link, and you're done. We'll see you at the track.